Hello guys, what is going on? It's me, Daniel the Bot, and today what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be analyzing one of the most controversial games on its release, that being Dark Souls 2. Now, for some reason, people didn't like this game. Just kidding, I know all the reasons, and you'll be getting all those reasons later on in the video. I just want to stress that I did enjoy this game. I have over 80 hours in the game, I finished the game, I did everything you could do on the first playthrough, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, this is just going to be my input on it, but I do have some criticisms that a lot of people have given, but yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna do it now. Hey, I'm gonna be splitting this analysis into 5 categories, that being areas, the overall aesthetics of the areas, and the layout of the areas, and how many fucking traps are just shoved into an area, alright? The gameplay, how good it feels to play, how smooth it is, the enemies and the enemy placement, the bosses, that being difficulty, because you need difficulty in a Souls-like game. If you didn't have difficulty, I mean, what the fuck? And the fun of the bosses, the replayability. Do you end off the boss by saying, holy shit, that was sick, something like Slave Knight Gale, or do you end off the boss saying, what the fuck was that, something like Covetous Demon? The official soundtrack, how the music gets across the emotions, and the epicness. And the lore, and I mean that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, if you've ever looked into Souls-like lore, or no, Souls game lore I should say, it's pretty fucking annoying to decipher, but main man Vati Vidya is there for all your problems. And I'm going to be giving each of these categories a score out of 10, and I'm going to be explaining my scores, the pros and cons of the areas, or categories I should say. And yeah. Now, the areas in Dark Souls 2 are the most visually pleasing in the entire Souls franchise. They went for the Skyrim method to make everything you look at look fucking incredible. It's better areas than DS1 and DS3 combined. When it comes to aesthetics, that is, not anything else, alright? The amount of times I walked into an area and thought, wow, that's pretty good, is uncountable. It's just too many to count. Now, obviously, all things in the universe have to be balanced. So, there are some terrible areas. There are some areas that make me want to there are some areas that make me want to do some war crimes across the Middle East. And they are some of the worst areas in the Souls series, filled with traps and environmental hazards that you will fall prey to many times, let me warn you. And the layout of the areas as well, it's great. I enjoy the complexity of it. I enjoy looking around for all the shortcuts, for all the areas, for the items. And yeah, I mean, it just didn't feel like a chore. So, all that being said, I'm going to give the areas a 9 out of 10. Now onto the gameplay aspect. Now, I think this category is going to be the most divided out of all the categories, because it can be one of the easiest games that you've ever fucking played. Easiest Souls-like, I should say. But it also can be one of the hardest games. Like, oh, it's bad. It gets bad, like seriously. Now, the main thing that makes this game really difficult, or what can make this game difficult, is how many times the enemies gank you. The enemy placement in this game is absurd. There are just so many enemies pumped in an area. They just saw how good DS1 was doing. It's like, oh, that game's hard. Well, let's make this game fucking really difficult, and let's make people not trying to enjoy it, alright? But overall, I mean, it's just the enemy moveset is just so easy. Like, if you're going against one enemy, I can see why they put multiple enemies in an area, because if you were just going against one enemy, the game would seriously be too easy. If you're just going against 2 enemies, that's why they put 50 enemies in an area just to annihilate you. So yeah. But when it comes to how good the game feels, I personally think DS2 is the clunkiest of all the Dark Souls, and in my opinion, going for a heavy type build, it's clunky, man. It's very fucking clunky. But if you go for a light build like I did in my playthrough, upgrade your adaptability, And yeah, I mean, it could be a bit better, but you know, overall, this game just, its hitboxes are fucking weird. The game is just clunky, man. It's just it feels weird to play, and not in a good way. I do want to say one thing though. The PvP in this game is really good. The amount of builds you can do, the amount of unique weapons and armors, and it's just, there's so many ways to have fun in this game and to replay it, because there's just so many different types of builds. In Dark Souls 3 it's like, yeah, dex, strength, int, faith, you know, same with Dark Souls 1 sort of. But this game is just, the amount of weapons and unique weapons, it's just, it's actually impressive. And that's one thing they really did get right about this game, is they just put a whole bunch of weapons in. They were like, yeah, choose, I don't give a fuck. But yeah, that's something I have to commend them for doing. And yeah, I mean, yeah. So now that I've said that, the gameplay in my opinion is a decent 7 out of 10. So yeah. Now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, the bosses. Now I'm going to give the score for the bosses because I really want to explain myself. And I'm going to give the bosses a 6 out of 10. Now, for the most part, the bosses in this game are extremely lackluster. And honestly, it was a big disappointment. It was just too easy. There was too many reskins. And the bosses just didn't have that same impact that it had in Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3. So they went with quantity over quality, which I don't agree with. It's not my mindset, but it was theirs when they designed these bosses, unfortunately. Now you might be asking, why did it get a 6 out of 10 if the bosses were so dogshit in your opinion, you fucking moron, Daniel? But listen, because of the DLCs. The bosses in the DLCs are some of the most fun and challenging bosses in the entire Souls series. Sir Alon is one of my favorite bosses of all time. Alright? It is so irritatingly difficult. The only problem I have with that boss is the run back to it. But other than that, fighting that boss is so fun. I love fighting that boss so much. It's the only boss that feels like it was ahead of its time in Dark Souls 2. The Fume Knight is also a great boss that, this is pretty fun, and I think Fume Knight's probably, a lot of people will agree that Fume Knight's probably one of the harder bosses in the game. I'd still say it's Sir Alon's the hardest Dark Souls 2 boss, but Fume Knight's pretty fun. It's got great lore behind him. And, you know, not even to mention one of the most badass bosses in the Soul series, the Burnt Ivory King. This boss is so sick. The things you had to do, you had to get those knights, and then you had to fight his knights, and then he would come out and you'd have a little knight buddy with you, and then you'd fight the main guy. It's one of the coolest bosses and one of the best and the most well-designed bosses in the entire Soul series, in my opinion. And it's definitely on my top 10 favorite bosses. There's also Sin, the fucking gay dragon or whatever, and I mean, we're not going to name any of that. There's also the Gank Lions. If you know, you know what I mean? But the DLC bosses are the only bosses that actually gave me a challenge in this game, and that's why I'm going to give this, the whole bosses category, a 6 out of 10, and yeah. Now, on to the OST. Now, this is a short one, but I think that the official soundtrack of Dark Souls is an extremely important factor of the entire Souls series, because it just conveys the mood so well. And I love classical music, and Dark Souls 2's music, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10, alright? The base game music, it was okay. I'd say it's average, it's alright. It's like a shitty action movie, okay? It's alright, alright? Obviously you got like great tracks like the Hub World, Majula. That's a great track. Majula is my favorite Hub World, let me just tell you. And you got some great tracks there. I can't really name any because they're so forgettable. But the DLCs came to the OST's rescue. The DLCs have some of the best boss OSTs, some of the most epic, and some of the most impactful boss OSTs, in my opinion, in the entire Souls franchise. The DLCs for Dark Souls 2 really saved this game, and it really impresses me how they pulled this game kind of out of the gutter with the DLCs like that. And yeah, that's just From Software, man. Now we're on to the one I'm least qualified to talk about, the categories that I'm least qualified to talk about, that being the lore. Now I'm going to give the lore a 10 out of 10, just because I think that From Software has pieced together such an incredible world using these 3 games that I'd give any Souls game a 10 out of 10 in the lore. From Software, in my opinion, gets the lore perfect every single fucking time. And it's just looking into the lore is it's just, I love the lore of the game, man. I can't stress enough. Vati Vidya puts it together so well as well. And I'm not a lore master, so that's about all I'm gonna say about that. It's brilliant. It's 10 out of 10, easy peasy lemon squeezy, 11 out of 10 maybe. But no, fuck that. So I think, in conclusion, the grand score out of 50 is 39, which, you know, even though the game got a lower score, I still believe it's worth playing. It may be the worst Dark Souls game, but it's still a Souls game, which means it's still fucking great. It's still better than most games that come out on the market. And I would recommend it to anybody that enjoys Souls-like and Souls games. I would enjoy it to anyone that likes a challenge. I would enjoy it to anyone that likes shooting themselves with a shotgun in the knees. And yeah, I mean, that's gonna wrap this video up. It's not a bad game, really isn't a bad game. It has a lot of flaws, but it's still a great game. It's still a great game. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider subscribing. And if you guys I don't know why I said that. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like. And if you do enjoy this type of content, and if you want to see different types of content, as in gaming content, then please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. And yeah, I'll send over a gift basket of something, I swear. It might be dirt, it might be gold. It's up to you. It's up to your imagination. But anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace, nigga.